Tribe, I become invincible with my 10,000 times bonus from the start. Chapter 61, Crown Soldier, Frost Dragon. Frost Dragon Eggs, Unhatched. Description: the probability of hatching an egg produced by a frost dragon is 0.2%. After using the dragon's blood crystal, the success rate will increase. Looking at the description, Cheng pondered for a moment. If he did not use the crystals, 10 frost dragons could be hatched from these 5,000 eggs using the probability theory. As expected, the god of creation gave the dragon race extremely powerful attributes. Hence, hatching them would be very difficult. It could be said that the probability was ridiculously low. At this moment, Cheng took out a large dragon's blood crystal from his backpack. Sylvia, who was watching from the side, nervously clenched her fists. She wanted to say something to stop him, but she bit her soft pink lips shut. In the end, she did not say anything. Ding, dong, you're about to use one large dragon's blood crystal to speed up the frost dragon eggs hatching progress. Do you confirm? I confirm. Cheng said without hesitation. Ding, dong, since you've used one large dragon's blood crystal, the hatching success rate has increased by 1%. Ding, dong, you've triggered a 10,000 times amplification. The frost dragon eggs hatching success rate has increased to 100%. Ding, dong. You've successfully hatched a crown-grade frost dragon. Roar. A crisp dragon's roar was suddenly heard. In an instant, a 10-meter-long frost dragon appeared in front of Cheng. Looking at the dragon in front of her, Sylvia was excited. This is a frost dragon. As the princess of the frost dragon clan, she sensed the feeling of being connected to it by blood. It made her extremely certain that this was indeed a frost dragon. She felt as if she was dreaming. A dragon's blood crystal. As the princess of the frost dragon clan, she naturally did not lack any crystals. All she needed to do was to bleed a little. However, using a large dragon's blood crystal only increased the success rate of hatching an egg by 1%. How could the first dragon already be hatched? Was this a dream? Very quickly, Sylvia calmed down. She thought that all of this was due to Cheng's good luck. As the princess of the dragon clan, how could she not know about the hatching rate of her own dragon clan? Cheng did not know what Sylvia was thinking. While she was lost in her thoughts, Cheng started hatching the other eggs crazily. Ding, dong. You've triggered a 10,000 times amplification. You've successfully hatched a crown-grade frost dragon. Ding, dong. You've triggered a 10,000 times amplification. You've successfully hatched a crown-grade frost dragon. Ding, dong. You've triggered a 10,000 times amplification. You've successfully hatched a crown-grade frost dragon. Ding, dong. Roar. Countless crisp roars could be heard continuously in the cave. Cheng had hatched all 5,000 dragon eggs. In an instant, countless majestic and terrifying frost dragons appeared in front of him, filling the entire hall. If it was not for the fact that his troops were stacked together, this cave would have long exploded. As a race that stood at the peak of the entire continent, the frost dragons were born with extremely high offensive and defensive capabilities. Naturally, they were classified as top-ranked troops by the system. At this moment, Cheng opened the frost dragon's attribute panel. Frost dragon. Description: a frost dragon that was born in an extremely cold land. It can use an extremely terrifying frost dragon's breath. Race: Frost Dragon. Level: 1. Physical/magic attack: 1100. Defense: 420. Rank: 13. Health: 200,000. Skill 1, Dragon's Body, Level Max. The Frost Dragon's body is extremely powerful, reducing any physical damage received by 50%. Magic resistance is increased by 50%. Skill 2, Frost Dragon's Breath, Level 1. When used on an enemy, Frost Dragon deals ice damage. Magic attacks are multiplied by 10 for up to 10,000 units at the same time. Buildings affected by Dragon's Breath will enter a frozen state, losing all functions. Cooldown, 10 minutes. Skill 3, Frost Shield, Level 1. Lowers the body temperature of a Frost Dragon, protecting it in solid ice. The Frost Dragon will be put to sleep, helping it recover 1% of its health every second while being immune to all attacks. Lasts 20 seconds. Cooldown, 1 hour. Skill 4, Frostbite, Level 1. The Frost Dragon deals damage as a splash effect, attacking up to 1000 units at the same time. Morale, 200. Loyalty, max. Food consumption, 100,000/day. Is this the champion class? Looking at the attributes of the Frost Dragon, even Li Cheng was shocked. Unlike the wild monsters in Frost Dragon City, the dragons that Li Cheng hatched were not weakened. They were genuine Frost Dragons. Their attributes were naturally explosive. Their HP was as high as 200,000, which was simply unreasonable. More importantly, their attributes were only at level 1. The highest level of the champion species could reach level 100. If they were to wait until they reached the maximum level, their attributes would definitely be extremely terrifying. Their offensive and defensive values would even surpass the other species by miles. Moreover, the 4 skills that they possessed were also exceptionally powerful. The bodies of the dragons were simple and crude. Physical damage was reduced by 50%, and their magic resistance was also increased by 50%. This meant that no matter what kind of damage the Frost Dragons received, it would be reduced by half. The second skill could be said to be the signature skill of the dragon race. Dragon's Breath, a skill that all dragons knew. However, the Dragon's Breath of the Frost Dragons was an ice attribute damage, and the terrifying part was its later effects. Dragon Breath could be cast on buildings. Buildings that were hit by Dragon's Breath would then lose all effects. This was an extremely overpowering strategic level skill. In the later stages of the game, many players would lay down a large number of architectural fortifications in their own territories to create the appearance of a war fortress. If others wanted to attack those buildings, they would need to have a specific type of army. Otherwise, they would have to pay a price that was dozens of times higher than usual. Now, Li Cheng did not have such a problem. All he needed was the Frost Dragon's Breath to make these architectural fortifications ineffective. When he saw this, Li Cheng was a little depressed. Why did Princess Sylvia not have this skill? However, he did not think too much about it. He looked at the last 2 skills. The third skill could be said to be an extremely powerful invincible skill. It was so powerful that Li Cheng felt it was a little ridiculous. After releasing the skill, the Frost Dragons would be invincible for up to 20 seconds. It also recovered their HP by 20%. Undoubtedly, it would provide the Frost Dragons with an extremely powerful endurance ability. The last skill was also powerful. After a normal attack, it would turn into AoE damage. If 5,000 dragons attacked with a normal attack, they would be able to wipe out millions of enemy troops. As expected of the race that stood at the top of the pyramid. Ridiculous, simply ridiculous. Chapter 62, First Clear of a Secret Realm. After reading the attributes of the Frost Dragons, Li Cheng closed the interface in satisfaction. Meanwhile, Sylvia looked at the 5,000 Frost Dragons circling in the sky and fell into silence. She was thinking about life. She felt like she was in a dream. She thought that she had fallen into a coma and had not woken up. It was extremely difficult for a dragon clan to hatch immediately. The success rate of hatching them was pitifully low. Even if there was a dragon's blood crystal, using those would only increase the success rate by a small margin. It definitely would not be able to change the current situation of the dragon clan. Under normal circumstances, a top-tier mythical grade or immortal grade dragon would be hatched, and before this, Sylvia's mother was the one who would hatch the eggs. Even so, the success rate was extremely low. At its highest, it was only around 30%. However, Li Cheng had just hatched all 5,000 dragon eggs. What kind of situation was this? Could it be that she had been in a coma for too long, and the outside world had changed? Li Cheng ignored Sylvia, who was completely doubting her life. At this time, the 1,000 frost marksmen outside had already cleared the arcane realm. The system's voice rang in Li Cheng's ears. Ding, dong, you've successfully cleared all the monsters in Frost Dragon City. You've met the conditions for clearing the arcane realm. Ding, dong, the system is currently grading you. Please, wait patiently. Ding, dong, your mystical realm score is SSS. Ding, dong, you've cleared Frost Dragon City. You've been rewarded with 10 legendary grade Frost Towers, epic grade Ancient Soldier Training, and an epic grade Frost Enchantment card. Ding, dong, you've triggered a 10,000 times amplification and obtained 100,000 legendary grade Frost Towers, a legendary grade Ancient Soldier Training, and a mythical grade Frost Enchantment card. World Announcement. Player Netherworld has successfully cleared the Nightmare level Secret Realm, Frost Dragon City. As the first player in the world to clear a Nightmare level Secret Realm, I hereby reward you with the authority to recruit Frost Dragons. Ding, dong, you've unlocked a new building Frost Lair. The huge world announcement rang 3 times before it stopped. The players were already used to Li Cheng's achievements. Netherworld boss has gone to clear a secret land again? He's really taking everything. He's not leaving anyone alive. He cleared a Nightmare level secret land single-handedly? I don't know much about it. Can anyone tell me what this concept is? What concept? Let me tell you this. The various large guilds are currently raiding elite level secret lands, and to do that, they need to gather a few hundred people. In the end, they still can't clear it. What do you think a Nightmare level secret land is? F***ck, after hearing what you said, this is simply too strong. That's for sure. Who are we talking about? However, I still hope Netherworld boss would bring us along to play. The contribution points this time smell good. The players from the Divine Dragon Alliance were not too surprised by Li Cheng's actions. The various large guilds had long since anticipated this. After pausing for a moment, they continued raiding their own secret realms. However, in another place, it was a different scene. Hearing the system notification, the Eagle Alliance members were all in shock. They were all dumbfounded and did not know what to say. At this moment, someone whispered, "Guild leader, are we still going to fight?" At this moment, their raid was almost complete. They were only left with the last boss in front of them. Moreover, the boss did not have much HP left. It would not be long before they could clear this secret land. Originally, they thought that they were about to achieve the spot of the first clear of a secret realm. They were very happy and excited when they fought. However, when the world announcement came, everyone was dumbfounded. They even fell into a very awkward situation. They were already one step too late in clearing the secret realm, a normal level secret realm at that. If they were to trigger the world announcement at this time, it would be a little embarrassing. If they did not clear the dungeon, everyone would have worked hard for a few hours and suffered heavy casualties for nothing. It would be a huge loss if they did not receive any rewards. Therefore, all the players in Heaven Guild felt that it was too embarrassing. Eve's beautiful face turned black with anger. She thought for a moment before saying angrily, "Continue to focus your attacks on the boss." Since the guild leader had spoken, the others naturally did not have any objections and continued to attack the boss. However, in her heart, Eve had already cursed Li Cheng more than 10,000 times. Seeing that the first clear was taken away by Li Cheng, who would not be angry? It had not even been a minute since Li Cheng had triggered the world announcement. World announcement. Eagle Alliance's Heaven Guild has successfully cleared a normal level secret realm. As the first guild in the world to clear a normal level secret realm, all guild members will be rewarded with 1,000 basic resources. This time, the world announcement only rang once. The sound was much quieter than Li Cheng's, and their time difference was less than a minute. When the people of the Divine Dragon Alliance heard the announcement, they were stunned at first, then they burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. They were just a little slower. I'm dying of laughter. What do you mean by a little slower? Netherworld boss cleared a nightmare level secret realm, while Heaven Guild cleared a normal level secret realm. How can we compare? What's there to compare? That's right, there's no way to compare. They're not even on the same level. Hehe, at Eve, let me interview you. How are you feeling right now? Are you angry? Are you angry? At Eve, wow, you actually got 1,000 basic resources. I'm so jealous, ha ha ha. It's true. Netherworld boss can give out tens of millions of resources on their own, and they got 1,000 basic resources in a world announcement? They're really not afraid of losing face. Listening to the system notification in his ear, Li Cheng was slightly taken aback. He felt that he and Eve seemed to be fated. However, he did not think too much about it. At this moment, Li Cheng began to count the rewards he had received. It had to be said that this wave of rewards could be said to be very generous. 100,000 legendary grade Frost Towers, a legendary grade Ancient Soldier Training, and a mythical grade Frost Enchantment card. Li Cheng was not anxious as he looked at each of their attributes in turn. Chapter 63, Dragon Soul. Frost Tower. Description: a super defense tower created from the energy of the Heart of Frost. It contains a tremendous amount of energy. Grade: Legendary. Physical/magic attack: 240,000. Durability: 200 million. Magic supply: 10,000/day. Skill 1, Frost Strike. The Frost Tower's attack will cause the enemy to slow down by 80%. Skill 2, Frost Splash. The Frost Tower can attack multiple targets and hit up to 300 units. Skill 3, Frost Land. When the Frost Tower attacks, there's a 55% chance of triggering a level 10 blizzard. The blizzard will deal 100 ice damage to all enemies within 500 yards. Ancient Soldier Training. Description: there's a legend in a certain kingdom. The inheritance of the ancient profound empire is here. Level 1. Grade: Legendary. Effect: you've obtained the legendary grade Ancient Soldier Training entry permission. Restriction: can only be used once. Frost Enchantment card. Description: contains a huge amount of frost energy. Level 1. Grade: Mythical. Effect: after use, equipment attributes will be increased with an additional 100% ice damage. Restriction: limited to soldier equipment, can only be used once. Looking at the attributes of the Frost Tower, Li Cheng felt that it was a little ridiculous. Its attack value was as high as 240,000. Even some legendary soldiers would not be able to withstand it. Moreover, its attack also had an AoE effect, and it also had a speed reduction. This was simply insane. If he triggered the Frost Land, it would fill the screen with AoE. The scariest thing was that he had a total of 100,000 of these towers. What kind of concept was this? With the size of Li Cheng's territory, he only needed a few thousand to form a circle. He believed that even the Church of Light would not be able to produce 100,000 legendary defense towers. During the middle stages of the game, the price of a legendary defense tower had already reached several billion. If this wave of rewards was converted into gold coins, he would earn several hundred trillion. If Li Cheng placed 10,000 legendary defense towers in his territory, even an experienced legendary powerhouse would run away in an instant. They would not be able to withstand it at all. However, legendary defense towers consumed a terrifying amount of mana. One tower per day would cost 100,000 mana points. This would cost 100,000 units of crystals. It was ridiculous. Putting ordinary players aside, even the large guilds would have to spend a large number of mana points. After reading the first reward, Cheng turned his attention to the ancient soldier training. He remembered that there was a huge empire in the past and that this legendary grade training caused a civil war and almost destroyed that empire. Judging by that, one could see the importance of this item. The ancient soldier training was considered a special secret realm. Usually, it would only appear in some ancient ruins. According to the difficulty and rarity, it was divided into normal, black iron, silver, gold, diamond, epic, legend, mythical, and immortal. After clearing the level, the abilities of the troops would be greatly improved. Some could give players an increase in the attributes of their troops, while others would give them new skills. This was also a way to train the troops. In tribe, even if they were the same type of troops, the rewards for each player would have a huge difference. In the middle stages of the game, soldier training would become the most important target for the players. However, chances to obtain soldier training were much rarer. Cheng turned his gaze to the Frost enchantment card. This was the best way to increase the attributes of any equipment. This Frost enchantment card could be said to be very powerful as it gave him 100% ice attribute damage. Coincidentally, Cheng had obtained the highest level of enchantment. Once he returned to his territory, he could start the enchantment immediately. When Cheng finished counting the rewards, Sylvia, who was beside him, was still looking at the 5,000 frost dragons in the sky with a dumbfounded expression. When Sylvia saw Cheng looking at her again, she took a deep breath and stared at Cheng as she asked, "Human, how did you do it?" At this time, Lillian, who was at the side, was unhappy. As she did not know Sylvia's identity, she immediately glared at Sylvia and said, "You have to call him Lord." Under Lillian's warning, Sylvia wanted to refute, but in the end, she did not move. She could only say a few words with difficulty, "Lo Lord." Cheng did not care about Sylvia's disrespect. He smiled and said, "I said that if you follow me, the Frost Dragon clan will only become stronger and stronger. Before long, it'll definitely be many times stronger than when your clan was at its peak. And since I said it, I'll do it, so I hope that you'll also do as you say." Cheng did not expect that the reward for being the first to clear a nightmare-level secret realm would actually be the recruitment authority of the Frost Dragons. He clearly remembered that in his previous life, no player had received such a reward. In fact, no one had ever received it. Cheng felt that it was probably related to his SSS rating. Not everyone had the title of being a champion, and it was impossible for them to repeatedly earn an SSS rating. In the entire world, only Cheng could recruit the Frost Dragons, only him. "Alright, go and get the dragon soul." After settling most of the matters here, Cheng looked at the pillar of light that was emitting an icy blue color. Sylvia wanted to refuse at first, but when she saw the 5,000 frost dragons, she struggled in her heart. In the end, she sighed and said, "Yes, my liege." Sylvia took a few steps forward and looked up at the pillar of light. Then, she slowly closed her eyes and crossed her arms in front of her chest. No one knew what she was saying. In the next moment, the ice blue light shone brighter and brighter, making Sylvia look even nobler. Cheng looked at Sylvia's side profile. Noble, quiet, dignified, these qualities kept appearing. It had to be said that his heroines were all quite good-looking. Whether it was Lillian, Luna, or Sylvia, they were all first-class beauties. A few minutes later, a palm-sized crystal ball emitting an icy blue light slowly floated out of the icicle. Cheng did not stand on ceremony, so he immediately grabbed it. At the same time, the system's voice rang in his ear. "Ding, dong! You've obtained the territory item Immortal Grade Dragon Soul." Cheng checked its attributes and a series of messages immediately appeared. Chapter 64, Frost Dragon Princess, Dragon Knight. Dragon Soul, Immortal. Description: rumored to be a terrifying artifact made from the souls of countless immortal grade dragons collected by the ancient dragon god. Grade: Immortal, Tier 9. Type: Special Equipment. Level: 1. Attribute 1, Energy Absorption. The dragon soul can absorb energy from the bodies of various dragons. Current energy: Frost Dragon, 13 trillion/200 trillion. Red Dragon, 0/200 trillion. Black Dragon, 0/200 trillion. Golden Dragon, 0/200 trillion. Attribute 2, Dragon's Power. After absorbing a dragon's energy, the dragon soul can then release extremely powerful skills. The specific effect is as follows. Frost Barrier: after use, it forms a shield. The range of the shield does not exceed the upper limit of absorbed energy. When under attack, 1 point of Frost Dragon energy can offset a small amount damage value. Evoke Evil Thought: after use, all dragon units will have their normal attack increased by 500%, attack speed increased by 500%, and defense decreased by 50%. Each unit will consume 10 points of red dragon energy. Lasts for 10 minutes. Fatal Black Flame: after use, all dragon units will consume 10 points of black dragon energy. Lasts for 10 minutes. Golden Dragon Body: after use, all dragons will consume 10 points of golden dragon energy. Lasts for 10 minutes. Attribute 3, Dragon's Bane. Dragon Soul has control over all dragons' souls. All dragons' attack damage will increase by 500%. Attribute 4, Dragon's Command. All dragons will submit to the Dragon Soul. Loyalty value of all dragon units will be permanently maxed out, and their rebellion value will be 0. Is this true? Isn't this a little too ridiculous? After checking the Dragon Soul's attributes, Cheng was stunned on the spot, even with his 2 lifetimes of experience. In his previous life, he was just an ordinary lord, and his strength was not very strong. Naturally, he did not have the chance to come into contact with an immortal grade item, let alone a tier 9 item. It was a supreme divine weapon that almost surpassed all continents. The attributes of the dragon soul truly shocked him. If it absorbed a particular dragon's energy, he could activate the corresponding skills. The 4 skills corresponded to the major 4-colored dragons in the continent, and those attributes could only be described as ridiculously powerful. The effects were also explosive. After the activation, the attributes of the dragon clan would immediately increase. Unfortunately, Dragon Soul could only absorb the energy of the 4-colored dragons and not other dragons. Cheng guessed that when it was created, there were no other dragons on this continent. Examples of other dragons were the star dragons that had been tamed by the elves, the light dragons that lived in the world of light, and the death wyverns in the world of death. In the end, they were just subspecies that evolved from the 4-colored dragon. The only pity was that Cheng only had the frost dragons, meaning he could only activate 1 skill. The other 3 skills could not be activated at all, but this 1 skill was enough to be abnormal. Sylvia's mother had used this skill to block the Blade Hunter's attack. If the energy collected was maxed out, it could block 200 million damage. Thinking of this number, even Cheng sucked in a breath of cold air. If it was used on his territory, even a god would have to attack it for a long time to get through. Moreover, if Cheng wanted to deal with other dragons, it would be too easy. As a reincarnated player, Cheng naturally knew the location of the other dragons. At this moment, Sylvia was still somewhat conflicted about Cheng's control of the dragon soul. She said worriedly, "The dragon soul is a sacred item of our dragon race. You must use it carefully. Don't lose it." Cheng smiled and replied, "Don't worry. I know the value of this item." Now, he finally understood why the Sylvia in his previous life was able to command the entire dragon race on the continent and establish a huge dragon empire. With this dragon soul, even if he closed his eyes to play, he would not be able to do badly. Li Cheng was satisfied. He then put away the dragon soul and ordered, "Let's go, return to our territory." After saying that, Li Cheng was ready to return to the territory. However, when he saw Sylvia's unenthusiastic mood, he sized her up and said to her, "Sylvia, you should return to your dragon form. What are you doing?" Seeing Li Cheng's malicious gaze, Sylvia was still rather vigilant. "I'm riding you, of course. From today onward, you'll be my mount," Li Cheng said matter-of-factly. He also wanted to know what kind of experience it was to ride a dragon, especially riding such a beautiful dragon princess. Upon hearing this, Sylvia's expression instantly changed. She sneered and said, "You're dreaming. I, the dignified frost dragon princess, have the blood of an ancient dragon god flowing in my body. How can I be your mount? You, a mere human." "Oh? Is that so?" Li Cheng did not care. He smiled and said, "Looks like I'll have to reason with you today, Princess of the Frost Dragons." After saying that, Li Cheng waved his hand at Lillian and Luna. The two heroines immediately smiled and leaned toward Sylvia. A few minutes later, with a long dragon's roar, a dragon that was nearly 80 meters long blocked Li Cheng's line of sight. Among the dragons on the mainland, adult dragons were 20 to 30 meters long, while mythical grade dragons were only 50 meters long. That was also the longest dragon recorded in history. After using the Hero Advancement Stone, Sylvia's bloodline had clearly been strengthened. Li Cheng estimated that the current Sylvia could at least be comparable to those legendary ancient dragons. At this moment, Li Cheng began to size up Sylvia's dragon form. He clicked his tongue in praise. Her dragon body was nearly 80 meters long. Her entire body was slender and powerful. On its back was a row of ridges that were not deep but were as sharp as razors. Her two eyes were also an extremely beautiful ice blue color. Compared to ordinary frost dragons, the scales on Sylvia's body were even more beautiful, especially on her head where there was a crown-like bulge. Seeing Li Cheng looking at her as if he was sizing her up, Sylvia felt goosebumps all over her body. Fortunately, she was now in her dragon form. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened. She was really annoyed by Li Cheng's gaze. Sylvia let out a loud roar, her white teeth reflecting the cold light. Roar! Li Cheng did not care about Sylvia's attitude. He smiled slightly and jumped onto her head without holding back. Dragon Knight achievement, achieved. On top of that, the Dragon Princess was his mount. Li Cheng was excited just thinking about it. Chapter 65, Territory is instantly level 30 massive change. In the Misty Forest, there were many secret realms once the monsters were cleared. It also became a place for players to form teams to clear those secret realms. I've entered the group, I've entered the group. Who has a medical unit? Quickly, help me. We've cleared the Plague Secret Realm. Only players with 2,000 or more troops are allowed. If you're interested, please, tell me. The gold farming team has recruited players. They received generous treatment and various benefits. Those who are interested have signed up. The guild has recruited players. Now that you've joined the guild, you can go to a secret realm for free. Secret realm. Secret realm. Entry price is negotiable. The secret realms were densely packed with all kinds of players. Roar. Suddenly, a clear dragon's roar resounded through the sky. The players were stunned and all of them looked over. F***ck, what's going on? What's that? FCK, a dragon, that's a effing dragon. Could this be Netherworld boss? FCK, this dragon's really effing big. F***ck, my army's morale has dropped, what should we do? F***ck, my army's morale has dropped, too. What are we going to fight for? Netherworld boss merely passed by and our army's morale dropped just like that. This was another terrifying aspect of the giant dragons. They had a natural suppression of the souls of other races. Naturally, Li Cheng was hiding in the dark fog, silently passing through the misty forest. The dragon's roar came from Sylvia's resistance. However, as the 5,000 frost dragons passed by, the players' troops trembled and prostrated on the ground, not daring to get up. Many of them had just said that they were going to raid the arcane realm, but after this, they all left. The troops had lost their morale. What could they use to fight? An hour later, Li Cheng finally returned to his own territory. In his territory, there were still piles of various resources like small mountains. Looking at those resources piled up like trash, Li Cheng's face could not help but twitch a few times. He quickly built many large warehouses to store all those resources. After that, Li Cheng ordered his troops to go eat and recover their stamina. Even a legendary soldier would feel a little tired after a full day of intense combat. At this moment, Li Cheng began to raise the level of his territory. Ding, dong. You've consumed 2 million units of wood, stone, and iron ore to raise the Lord's Hall to level 21. Ding, dong. You've consumed 3 million units of wood, stone, and iron ore to raise the Lord's Hall to level 22. Ding, dong. You've consumed 4 million units of wood, stone, and iron ore to raise the Lord's Hall to level 23. Ding, dong. You've consumed 10 million units of wood, stone, and iron ore to raise the Lord's Hall to level 30. Ding, dong. Your Lord's Hall has reached the upper limit of its level. Please, complete the third Lord's quest as soon as possible. After upgrading the territory to level 30, Li Cheng began to set up the defense facilities. He took out 2 items from his backpack, the epic grade Wall of Light and the legendary grade Frost Tower. The number of these 2 items in Li Cheng's possession was so high that it was like an explosion. Naturally, he would not be stingy with them and immediately started to build them. Ding, dong. Building spawn rate used successfully. The Wall of Light has been constructed. Ding, dong. Building spawn rate used successfully. The Wall of Light has been constructed. Ding, dong. Building spawn rate used successfully. The Wall of Light has been constructed. Ding, dong. Building spawn rate used successfully. The Frost Tower has been constructed. Ding, dong. Building spawn rate used successfully. The Frost Tower has been constructed. Ding, dong. Building spawn rate used successfully. The Frost Tower has been constructed. Rumble. Countless constructions instantly rose up from the ground. Even the ground of the entire territory trembled a few times. Li Cheng had surrounded the entire level 30 territory. According to his estimation, this area was enough to last until the middle stages of the game. At the later stage, he would naturally have to move to the floating island. In less than a minute, the entire territory changed drastically. Li Cheng had even purposely left a place empty for Pearl to settle down in. At the outermost layer of the territory, there was a huge city wall that was more than 30 meters tall. The entire wall was neat and snow white, exuding a holy aura. In the inner circle of the territory, there were frost towers that were up to 100 meters tall, piercing straight into the sky. The frost towers were ice blue and crystal clear. At the top of the towers, there were clusters of surging ice attribute energy. Li Cheng had erected 1 frost tower for every few meters of land. In the end, there were more than 1,000 frost towers erected. According to his calculations, it would be a waste to place too many frost towers in one go. After all, he would not be facing any powerful enemies right now. In the eyes of all the players, Li Cheng himself was the biggest boss. After doing all this, Li Cheng nodded his head in satisfaction. He was very satisfied with his work. At the same time, he opened the territory panel. Underworld. Level, 30. Guild, none. Population, 26,842/246,000. Area, 25,000 grid. Expansion speed, 300 grid/day. City wall, Wall of Light, epic. Buildings, Lord's Hall, level 30, basic barracks, level 10, basic kitchen, level 10, frost shooting range, level 10, trading hall, basic combat academy. Strength, 8,000 frost marksman, level 10, 8,000 heavenly knight, level 11, 4,000 goblin miners, level 4, 1,000 holy light priests, level 11, 5,000 frost dragons, level 13. Defense facilities, Frost Tower, legendary. Magic power, 0. Resources, 923 billion wood, 741.2 billion stones, 52,030,000 iron ores, 46,020,000 food, 10.2 billion crystals, 785.1 billion gold coins. Resource points owned, gold coins. Resource points, epic. Requirements, 20 million wood, stone and iron ore, 500,000 crystals, Lord Quest 3 completed. Surrounding threats, none. Lord Quest 3. Description: your territory has already started to take shape, and it has a certain reputation on the continent. If you want to continue developing it, you must have enough strength to face the pressure from the various empires. Mission difficulty, 16,000,000. Mission details, intermediate and above. Military strength greater than 200,000. Defense score greater than 1,000,000. Reputation greater than 500. Mission duration, none. Mission reward, territory level unlocked. Mission tips: when you complete this mission, ensure that the various empires have a good impression of you. Otherwise, they might attack your territory. Chapter 66, Build the building and take off. Once the territory reached level 30, the territory area would expand. Together with the territory expansion coupon, the speed of expansion would be terrifying. If it continued at this rate, Li Cheng's territory would probably reach the border of other players' territory in a few days. At that time, Li Cheng naturally would not be polite, and he would unceremoniously annex those lands. The population limit would reach 250,000, which was enough for a short period of time. This population limit would also become a bottleneck for most players. Countless players would be stuck here forever. Just 500 reputation points were enough to defeat ordinary players for the rest of their lives. Meanwhile, if ordinary players wanted to obtain reputation points, they could only complete quests in the various major cities and work for other players. Most importantly, if they wanted to complete the third Lord quest, they would have to attract the attention of the various empires. If one thought about it, the various empires would definitely not be willing to see a level 3 Lord with several million troops, and if their relationship was not good enough, the various empires might just send their own troops to wipe them out. Of course, Li Cheng did not have to worry about this. Did the various empires want to wipe him out? If they were not afraid of their empire's destruction, then they could come and try. In short, a level 3 Lord quest might be as difficult as ascending to the heavens for others. However, for Li Cheng, it was just so-so. After all, he had already met 2 conditions. The only thing he needed to do now was to accumulate troops. In his newly upgraded territory, he unlocked some new buildings: a military research department, Iron City Wall, and a human arrow tower. As for the last 2, Li Cheng already had the Wall of Light and the Frost Tower, so he did not need those. As for the military research department, it was a research building that could study the technology of modern human troops. It could be used by heroes to improve the overall attack and defense of human troops. This was not that important to Li Cheng because he did not have any human troops. Frost Marksmen, 100% Elven ladies. The Heavenly Knights were cyborgs from another world, so they, too, could not be considered human. The Frost Dragons belonged to the dragon race while the Goblin Miners belonged to the goblins. The only human troop was the Holy Light priests that were exchanged from the Church of Light. Thinking of this, Li Cheng still built the building. Since the attribute points required were very little, he planned to use it when the heroes had time. As for those high-level scientific research buildings, it would require obtaining the blueprints to build them. At this time, Li Cheng turned his gaze to his own building. Frost Lair, Magic Trap, Highest Level Enchantment Table, The Immortal Wonder Profound Altar. Frost Lair. Description: the lair of a frost dragon can produce a frost dragon egg. Level: 10. Daily output: 0/500. Production type: frost dragon egg, level 13. Production cost: 300,000. Production time: 5 minutes. Required to level up: max level. As crown units, the recruitment process was naturally more complicated than normal soldier units. The frost lair would not automatically produce frost dragons, but could only produce 500 dragon eggs per day. With the probability of a normal person hatching those eggs, 500 dragon eggs would at most produce a few frost dragons. However, for Li Cheng, the hatching rate was 100%. Moreover, after using army spawn rate, the production reset would be equal to producing 1000 frost dragons per day. The key point was that the cost of producing one dragon egg was about 300,000. Coupled with the pitiful hatching rate, ordinary people simply could not afford it. However, Li Cheng did not have such a problem. Li Cheng instantly produced 500 dragon eggs. At the same time, he used the dragon blood crystals to incubate them. Following that, he used the army spawn rate to instantly increase the number of frost dragons in his army by 1000. By the next day, the number of frost dragons would reach 7000. This was an absolutely terrifying number. Magic traps were a series of traps that required the use of magic to attack. They could be hidden under the surface of the earth and ordinary detection spells would not be able to detect them. Highest level magic trap, Ice. Description: the highest level magic trap can cause a large amount of magic damage to the enemy. Level 1. Construction cost: 100,000 crystals. Effect: causes 80,000 ice damage to all enemies within 200 yards. Highest level magic trap, Earth. Description: the highest level magic trap can cause a large amount of magic damage to enemies. Level 1. Construction cost: 100,000 crystals. Effect: causes 80,000 earth damage to all enemies within 200 yards. Highest level magic trap, Thunder. Description: the highest level magic trap can deal a large amount of magic damage to enemies. Level 1. Construction cost: 100,000 crystals. Effect: deals 80,000 light damage to all enemies within 200 yards. There were many types of magic traps and each of them required 100,000 crystals. Moreover, all of them dealt AoE damage of up to 80,000 damage to all enemies within a 200-yard radius. They could be said to be very powerful defensive weapons. If there were a large number of monsters attacking the city, the magic traps could be used to their maximum effect. Li Cheng immediately placed the highest level enchantment table in his territory. He only had one enchantment card right now, so Li Cheng chose to use it on the Goddess of Wind's Speed Totem. One had to know that enchantments could be washed away. When there was a better enchantment card in the future, he would wash it away and replace it. Thinking of this, Li Cheng did not hesitate and used it immediately. Ding, dong, you're currently using the highest level enchantment table. The success rate of enchantment is 40%. Ding, dong, you've triggered a 10,000 times amplification. The success rate of enchantment is 100%. Ding, dong, enchantment successful. Even the highest level enchantment table paired with the mythical grade enchantment card only had a 40% success rate. However, it was different for Li Cheng. After triggering a 10,000 times amplification, the success rate was pushed to the maximum. Next was the Immortal Wonder Profound Altar. Li Cheng did not hesitate and chose to use it as well. Boom! The moment Li Cheng put it down on the ground, a dazzling light blue light lit up the entire night sky. In an instant, a huge altar appeared in Li Cheng's territory. At this moment, the system's voice rang in Li Cheng's ears. Ding, dong! Congratulations on building the immortal wonder profound altar. Unless your building is destroyed, other players are unable to build this building. World announcement. Dragon God Alliance player Netherworld has successfully built the immortal wonder profound altar. As the first player in the world to build this, I hereby reward you 500 reputation points and 10% of the coordinates of the wonder building. Ding, dong! You've triggered a 10,000 times amplification and obtained 500,000 reputation points and the complete coordinates of the wonder building. Chapter 67, Territory Consolidation complete. As the system's voice faded, Li Cheng saw a small note that appeared in his backpack. Strange little note. Description: a small note that came from God knows where. There is a coordinate recorded on it. Coordinates: Silent Canyon, 65,720.26845. As long as one found the coordinates of an immortal wonder building, one would be able to obtain its blueprint. In Li Cheng's previous life, when the wonder buildings was built, it was usually done in pieces and distributed by the system to multiple players. The players had to fight to obtain the complete coordinates. However, Li Cheng had a 10,000 times amplification system which immediately helped him to obtain the complete coordinates. Silent Canyon, that seems to be the territory of the undead. Li Cheng recalled that the undead was the biggest enemy that the players would have to face in the first version of the game. However, this first large version would last for a very long time, about a few months after the server opened. Once the players' strength had grown, only then would they become the main force to fight against the undead. Li Cheng wondered if he would be able to open the new version in advance with his current strength. With his current contribution points, he could already exchange for the title of an Earl. With the Earl's authority, he could definitely start a large-scale battle. Moreover, Li Cheng had foresight and knew some of the secrets of the undead army. He could definitely make a fortune from it. In the end, Li Cheng shook his head. With his current strength, it was still not enough. He would improve himself for a period of time first. Putting away the small note, Li Cheng looked at the magnificent building in front of him. Profound Altar. Description: an altar used by the ancient Profound Empire. It can improve the communication between gods and believers. Level 1. Grade: Immortal Wonder. Effect: believers get plus 1000% belief value when they pray. Current God: none. Current believer: none. Mana consumption: 20,000 W/day. Li Cheng opened the list of gods. From the altar, he could choose from a list of all the gods. He even saw the goddess of poison. Of course, Li Cheng was not stupid and would not choose her. After choosing the corresponding god, there had to be believers praying here in order to get the power of faith. Therefore, in Li Cheng's current situation, he only had two choices, Trelafani and the God of Light. It should not be forgotten that those priests were believers of the God of Light. If he chose the God of Light, according to his upright character, he would not have a good impression of Li Cheng just because of their low faith value. Therefore, Li Cheng chose Trelafani without hesitation. After making his choice, the top of the altar immediately showered them with a cool light, which became the coolest moonlight in the night. Luna sensed the abnormality here and brought her troops over. With a puzzled expression, she asked Li Cheng, "Lord, what's going on? Why do I feel the aura of the goddess? This is the new altar that I've built for Trelafani. You can move around here in the future," Li Cheng explained roughly to Luna. "Thank you, my liege." After hearing this, Luna revealed a beautiful smile. Then, she leaned closer to Li Cheng and kissed him on the cheek. Li Cheng was stunned. Just as he was about to say something, Luna reacted like a frightened rabbit. She hurriedly left, leaving Li Cheng a little confused. Am I being teased by a heroine again? After a long while, Li Cheng discarded those random thoughts and opened the territory's magic power interface. Currently, in Li Cheng's territory, there was only one magic power extractor, which could provide 100 million magic power every day. Such a figure was far from enough for the daily consumption of his territory. Li Cheng did a simple calculation. If all the items in his territory that required magic power were activated, it would require more than 100 million magic power in a day. More specifically, it would require more than 100 mana extractors to work at the same time. Higher level supply buildings also required blueprints. Li Cheng had no choice but to build the 200 mana extractors in one go. As soon as these 200 mana extractors were built, they took up 1/8 of the territory's area. However, this was also something that he had no choice but to do. At the moment, this was only temporary. Once he had a new supply blueprint, he would come back and dismantle it. His territory inventory was finally completed. The harvest this time could be said to be very satisfactory. The only pity was that his lord's quest was not completed yet. He had overestimated the enemies in Frost Dragon City. There were not many epic bosses there, so there was nothing he could do about it. Following that, Li Cheng opened the trading hall. The goblin miners and the basic resources listed had all been sold out. He did not hesitate to put up another 100 million basic resources as he still had to use crystal stones to buy in exchange for them. Although it was not a lot, it was convenient. Moreover, it could increase his popularity. In the future, it would be much more convenient for him to hire people to work for him. The change in the data of the trading hall soon attracted the attention of the players, and they became restless again. My goodness! How many resources is this? How many zeros? Let me count them. F***ck, isn't this too much? 100 million basic resources? Is Netherworld boss really not cheating? Am I dreaming? Can I have so many resources in my entire life? Haha, Netherworld boss is really timely. I didn't manage to snag any of the resources the other day. Now, I can finally exchange for some. Netherworld boss is awesome. After a day of high-intensity battles, the level of the players' troops had also risen. What they lacked the most now was basic resources to raise the level of their territories. Li Cheng put up 100 million basic resources, causing a wave of frenzied buying by other players. Various large gold farming groups had already appeared at the entrance of various secret realms, and some offline workshops had also started to farm gold efficiently. Of course, how to obtain crystals was still a headache for them. However, all of this had nothing to do with Li Cheng. At this moment, Li Cheng was comfortably enjoying himself in his territory. At this moment, Lillian came to Li Cheng's side and asked softly, "Lord, do you want to eat something?" Lillian took off her usual armor and only wore a tight-fitting dress. Her perfect figure was fully displayed, and her appearance was quite moving. Li Cheng was stunned, but he still nodded and said, "Sure." The two worlds had not overlapped yet. Eating in the game was just to tease his taste buds, and it could not replenish the energy his body needed. However, seeing Lillian's expectant look, Li Cheng could not refuse. Seeing Li Cheng nod, Lillian excitedly walked away. Not long after, she walked over with a fragrant animal leg which she shyly handed to Li Cheng as she said, "Lord, please, try it." Lillian baked it herself. Chapter 68, Astonishment from the Phantom Goddess. Li Cheng took a bite. It was really good. He praised, "I didn't expect Lillian's cooking to be so good." "Thank you, Lord. If it's good, you can eat more. If it's not enough, I'll roast more for you." Lillian smiled contentedly as her small face blushed slightly. Then, she sat down next to him to watch him eat. Li Cheng did not care. He swept his gaze across his territory. Luna was leading her believers to pray. Her face was full of piety. With the profound altar, they could communicate with Trelafani so naturally, they were in a good mood. Sylvia had transformed into her dragon form. She was wolfing down the food in her territory. She did not look like a frost dragon princess at all. As a dragon, she naturally had a huge appetite. She needed 2,000,000 worth of food in one day. She was practically a food grinder. With the current standards of the players, they simply could not afford to feed her. Moreover, Sylvia was dissatisfied with Li Cheng's self-proclaimed Dragon Knight title. She could only vent her anger by eating, and her daily appetite had long exceeded 2,000,000. Just like that, a crisp voice suddenly appeared behind Li Cheng. "The two of you are really in a good mood." Li Cheng and Lillian were shocked. Lillian immediately took out her long sword and looked behind her warily. Li Cheng also turned his head and saw an unfamiliar figure. It was slightly petite and slim. Li Cheng did not say anything and instantly cast a detection spell. Soon, the other party's attributes appeared in front of him. Phantom Goddess. Description: a phantom created by the Phantom Goddess, very weak. Looking at this name, Li Cheng was stunned. Phantom Goddess? A god actually came? No wonder the invasion alarm in his territory was not even triggered. At this stage, Li Cheng's territory level was still too low, so it would not be able to detect a god even if it was a phantom with a very weak hint. Seeing that it was the Phantom Goddess, Lillian slowly put away her long sword. She blinked and said, "Sister Ella." Ella's phantom nodded and greeted, "Long time no see, Lillian. You know each other." This time, it was Li Cheng's turn to be stunned. He did not expect Lillian to call a god sister. Sister Ella used to come to the shadow world to play. "We have a good relationship," Lillian explained. Li Cheng knew that the Phantom Goddess was called Ella, and she was in charge of the shadow world, which belonged to the neutral faction. Naturally, being in charge of it meant she had to deal with all matters of the shadow world. Li Cheng understood why they knew each other. However, in Li Cheng's memory, this Phantom Goddess was also a weakling, and she was similar to Trelafani. Perhaps she was a little stronger then, but only by a little. If Li Cheng remembered correctly, there was a civil war in the Kingdom of Kent, and her believers were killed on a large scale. Not long after she lost her believers, there was news of her death. Li Cheng also did not know what her relationship with Trelafani was. It was probably not that bad, because as the spokesperson of Trelafani, she appeared in his territory like this. Among the gods, this was regarded as a signal to start a war. Thinking of this, he gradually understood. The last time Trelafani contacted him through the shadow world, it should have been with the help of this Phantom Goddess. After all, Trelafani and the shadow world had nothing to do with each other. Gradually, Li Cheng's thoughts became clearer. He asked, "Your Highness, may I know why you're looking for me?" "You're Trelafani's." Ella paused for a moment and suddenly did not know what to call him. She simply asked directly, "Do you have a divine power crystal in your possession?" "Yes." Li Cheng did not deny it. He had already guessed in his heart that Ella was here for the divine power crystal. Once a god descended and died in the origin world, the loss would be very large, losing 100% of his divine power. However, the goddess of poison herself was a weakling, so her divine power was not much. She could not drop any large-scale divine power crystals. Slightly stronger gods naturally would not be interested in this. Only Ella, who was also a weakling, would be interested. Seeing that Li Cheng was so straightforward, Ella was slightly stunned. She initially thought that she would need to use a lot of words to convince him. If the other party was so straightforward, she naturally would be equally as straightforward. "I can give you materials, arms and materials in exchange for it." Hearing this, Li Cheng raised his eyebrows and could not help but start to size up the Phantom Goddess. He was originally going to sell the divine power crystal. Selling it was not a problem. The problem was that Cheng was afraid that Ella could not afford it. I don't lack materials. As for arms, do you have any crown-grade arms? Cheng asked after thinking for a moment. Hearing this, Ella frowned. Crown arms? That was a little out of her budget, but she did not say much. She nodded and asked, yes, how many do you want? As a god, even if she was garbage, there were still many believers in this main plane, and it was not as if there were not any titled soldiers. Hearing Ella being so straightforward, it was Cheng's turn to be surprised, but he still slowly stretched out a finger. Since you're Trella Fanny's friend, I'll give you a friendship discount. 10 million's enough. What? Ella suspected that she had heard wrongly. Thinking that Cheng was playing with her, she angrily said, are you playing with me? Ella had a good temper. If anyone else had heard the terms of the exchange, they would have already left with a flick of their sleeves. If Ella really had 10 million crown soldiers, why would she need to come to Cheng to buy divine power? Seeing this, Cheng did not say anything. He chuckled and took out 1,000 dark green crystals from his backpack. Seeing the dense divine power crystals, Ella's pupils suddenly shrank and her small mouth was so surprised that she could not close it. Her face was full of disbelief as it completely exceeded her expectations. How do you have so many? It must be known that the gap between gods was extremely huge, much bigger than the gap between Cheng and ordinary players. Those powerful gods, such as the god of light, the goddess of darkness, and so on, could crush a weak chicken like Ella to death with one finger. Of course, the most important problem between gods was that they could not find each other and the location of each other's divine kingdom. Otherwise, why would the goddess of poison still be alive and kicking when everyone wanted to beat her to death? However, with the strength of the goddess of poison, it was absolutely impossible for her to drop 1,000 divine power crystals even if she was squeezed dry. Chapter 69, The Deal is Completed, Soul Contract. Ella's expression was very interesting. She was so shocked that she could not say anything. She simply could not figure out where Cheng got so many divine power crystals from. After more than 10 seconds, her petite body finally calmed down. She stared at Cheng and said, how about I exchange a god with you? Cheng originally thought that Ella would offer some kind of condition or something tempting, but he did not expect the phantom goddess to be so shameless. He looked at her from head to toe. It had to be said that the phantom goddess still looked petite and cute, but how could she say such shameless words? After thinking about it, it made sense. These gods were existences that had lived for thousands of years, so something like saving face had probably been thrown into some corner. I say, Your Highness Goddess, do you think I'm stupid? Cheng smiled contemptuously, not giving this god any face at all. He continued, for 1,000 small-scale divine power crystals, even your transformation mask can't be used to exchange for it, not to mention it's an immortal artifact. The transformation mask was the representative of the phantom goddess, an immortal artifact. Hearing this, the phantom goddess also felt embarrassed. She coughed a few times to try to resolve the awkwardness. She was only trying. What if Cheng did not know what a divine artifact was? As for whether she was embarrassed or not, she had lived for so long. Did she still care about being shameless? What could be exchanged for the crystals? If it could be exchanged, the phantom goddess indicated that she could look for it. Moreover, these crystals are useless to you. You can't digest them at all. Cheng even gave her a friendly reminder. I came to look for you to exchange for those divine power crystals. Naturally, I'd have my own way of doing that. Ella did not want to lose face as a god. Hearing this, Cheng smiled and did not say much. With Ella's current strength, it would be impossible for her to erase the goddess of poison's mark on the crystals without spending a few hundred years doing it. At that time, the existence of this world would be a problem. Speaking of this, Li Cheng felt that the time was ripe, so he said, "How about this, Your Highness, how about we make a deal?" "What deal?" Ella was puzzled. She could not even walk after looking at 1,000 divine power crystals. She could get them just by making a deal? Seeing that Ella was interested, Li Cheng struck while the iron was hot. "I can give you these divine power crystals and help you solve the Kingdom of Kent's problem." Before Li Cheng could say anything, Ella laughed disdainfully. "Do you even have the ability?" The Kingdom of Kent had hundreds of billions of people, and all of them had combat power. With Li Cheng's current military strength, Ella naturally did not believe that he could solve the problem. Li Cheng did not show too much contempt toward Ella. He only said one sentence, "Believe it or not, it's up to you." The Kingdom of Kent's civil war would be a large version in the future. In his previous life, as a player who had participated in the entire process, Li Cheng could be said to be very familiar with it. If he wanted to save Ella's believers, he had countless ways to do so. "All right, what do you want me to do?" Ella did not say much. Her current target was the divine power crystal in Li Cheng's hands. She had lived for thousands of years, so she naturally knew that there would be no free lunch in the sky. With so many divine power crystals, it was obvious that it would be very difficult to make a deal with him. She wanted to hear what it was to determine if she had the ability to complete it or not. "First, I want to go to the passage of the Shadow World," Li Cheng uttered his first request. Hearing this, Ella was obviously stunned for a moment. Then, she looked at Lillian. With this princess of the Shadow World around, what else did she need to do? Lillian stood up and explained, "I can go to the Shadow World at any time, but I can't open a large passage. The Lord's troops can't enter." Ella nodded and smiled. She naturally knew what Li Cheng wanted this passage for. If it was not for Lillian, what else could it be? "If it's Lillian's request, I'll help without your promise." After saying that, the phantom goddess gently rubbed her palm a few times. Instantly, a ball of light made of dark grey shadows appeared in front of Li Cheng. At the same time, the system's voice rang in his ear. "Ding, dong, you've obtained an item, a legendary grade shadow tunnel." Shadow tunnel, legendary. Description: a super large tunnel made by the phantom goddess that can lead to the shadow world. Level 1. Grade, legendary. Effect: creates a super large tunnel leading to the shadow world. Li Cheng was a little surprised when he saw this effect. A legendary super large tunnel. Although Ella was a god, her strength was so weak that it was touching. It was really a little surprising for her to casually give him a legendary item. Li Cheng was not very curious, so he did not ask too much. He immediately stated his next request: "The second condition is that if I take control of the Kingdom of Kent in the future, you have to help me stabilize the situation." Hearing this, Ella was speechless. She even suspected that she had heard wrong. Then, she burst into laughter. Ha ha ha! She laughed so hard that she could not even stand straight. It was as if she had heard the biggest joke in the world. In her opinion, Li Cheng was completely dreaming. She guessed that if she was not currently a phantom, she would have laughed until she cried. Li Cheng did not say anything. He just looked at Ella with a cold smile. If it was any other kingdom, he truly did not have much confidence in taking it down. However, if it was just the Kingdom of Kent, there was hope he could destroy it now if he really made a move. After a full few minutes, Ella finally had enough. She looked at Li Cheng and said, "Okay, I'll wait for that day. Since Your Highness the Goddess has agreed, then let's sign the soul contract," Li Cheng said lightly. Ella was no longer smiling and instead, she was very puzzled. How did a human know so much about the matters of gods? Then, she thought that Trelafani probably told him, so she did not struggle to think in this direction. A soul contract was a bet using the souls of both parties. Once it was signed, even a god could not unilaterally cancel it. After a moment of hesitation, Ella agreed. A few minutes later, the contract was signed and the transaction was completed. Ella took the 1,000 pieces of divine power crystals with satisfaction and her phantom disappeared into thin air. An agreement appeared in Li Cheng's mind. The general content was that both parties could not break the contract and that Ella had to fulfill her promise. After the matter was over, Li Cheng put away the super-large tunnel in his hand and looked at Lillian. He asked, "Lillian, are you familiar with Ella?" Chapter 70, I Believe in You, Li Cheng. Yes, there was a time when Sister Ella and I lived together. Lillian did not hide anything and spoke honestly. Hearing this, the corner of Li Cheng's mouth twitched. He suspected that Lillian would directly use Ella's name. They should have a good relationship, but he did not expect them to have lived together. He did not even have this kind of treatment. "Where did you live?" Li Cheng asked. "The Glittering Castle." Hearing this name, Li Cheng was shocked. Glittering Castle was the core of the Shadow World. Legend had it that the Shadow World was created by the Shadow Caste from the Glittering Castle. "My lord, are you full?" At this time, Lillian quietly changed the topic. Apparently, she did not want to say anything more about this issue. Seeing her reluctance, Li Cheng did not ask any further. He smiled and said, "Of course, I'm full." The two worlds had not overlapped yet, so eating here could only satisfy his taste buds. His body would be provided with nutrient fluids. Then, the two sat quietly for a while and talked about some things. Seeing that it was getting late, Li Cheng got up and said, "Rest early. We'll go to the Shadow World tomorrow." With his current military strength, he could definitely venture into the Shadow World. Although it was still fraught with dangers, based on Li Cheng's understanding of the place, some dangerous places could be avoided. Hearing Li Cheng's words, Lillian also stood up. Her gaze was gentle as she looked at Li Cheng. In the next moment, she kissed Li Cheng on the cheek and said, "Good night, Lord." Feeling the moisture on his face, Li Cheng was stunned. Luna gave him a kiss earlier, and now Lillian also gave him a good night kiss. Could they have colluded together? When Li Cheng came back to his senses, Lillian had already left. After being intimate with two heroines for one night, Li Cheng was in a good mood. Therefore, he was now heading to the residence of the third heroine. As soon as he arrived at Sylvia's residence, Li Cheng heard a series of her voice. "Damn it, damn it, damn it. Damn human, how dare he make me his mount? If I wasn't afraid that something would happen to those frost dragons, I would have definitely bitten him into pieces. But the problem is, how did he hatch all those dragon eggs? Over the past few thousand years, I've tried many methods. I even used my own blood to nourish them. The success rate was still pitifully low. Humph, sooner or later, he'll become my final servant. When that time comes, it won't be too late to ask him again. But he's really strong. There are actually so many frost towers here. There weren't even that many in Frost Dragon City. I don't care. When we arrive, I'll take him in as a servant. All these things are mine." Hearing these words, Li Cheng's face darkened. It seemed that this Frost Princess had a very serious delusion. She wanted to take him in as her servant? Then, Li Cheng could only apologize to her because after coming to his territory, she would not be able to turn the tables for the rest of her life. She could only obediently become his mount. It seemed that the arrogant Frost Princess had yet to adapt to her identity. Thinking of this, Li Cheng quietly retreated, giving her some time to think it through. As a mount, she had to have the awareness of a mount. When Li Cheng returned to his room, he did not rest. Instead, he said to the air, "Trelafani, come here." There was a moment of silence in the room. No one responded to him. Then, a few seconds later, a cool moonlight poured down and Trelafani's graceful and perfect figure appeared in front of Li Cheng. Her figure was slender and tall and she had silver hair that reached her calves. She was different from ordinary elves. Her skin was very delicate and smooth, and her cheeks were so beautiful that it did not make sense. She truly deserved the title of the Moon Dance Goddess. Li Cheng was also lost in his thoughts. It would be a pity if such a beautiful creature died in the battle of the gods in the future. Seeing Li Cheng's dazed look, Trelafani smiled slightly. "Thank you for saving my believers, Netherworld." Li Cheng nodded. "You can call me Li Cheng, goddess." Since he had told Trelafani his real name, he was not afraid that she would leak it. Then, Li Cheng changed his attitude as he said seriously, "I helped you for my own purpose. In the future, I might become the enemy of the whole world. At that time, which side will you stand on?" As soon as he said that, Trelafani was stunned. What did he mean? He wanted to become the enemy of the entire world? What terrifying thing was he going to do? If this was said by someone else, Trelafani would have definitely scoffed at him and scolded him for dreaming. However, this was said by Li Cheng, which meant that it was really possible. After a long silence, Trelafani seemed to have made a decision. She bit her lip and said, "I believe in you, Li Cheng. You won't regret today's decision." Then, Li Cheng smiled and said softly. After bidding farewell to Trelafani, Li Cheng quickly went to sleep to recuperate. In the blink of an eye, the next day arrived. Li Cheng had just opened his eyes when he heard the system notification. "Ding, dong, during the time you were offline, the research of Frost Arrow Rain has made new progress. You've received a total of 1,900 skill points. Ding, dong, you've triggered a 10,000 times amplification. Total reward, 19,0000000 experience points. Ding, dong, Frost Arrow Rain has leveled up. Currently at level 2. Ding, dong, Frost Arrow Rain has leveled up. Currently at level 3. Ding, dong, Frost Arrow Rain has leveled up. Currently at level 4. Ding, dong, Frost Arrow Rain has leveled up. Currently at level 10. It has reached the maximum level. Ding, dong, a new person wants to join your territory. Ding, dong, your vassal lord has led her troops into your territory." Hearing the notifications ringing in his ear, Li Cheng instantly woke up. He flipped over and got out of bed. His movements suddenly froze as he